He's getting older.
You gotta be raping me!
Oh, hit the volume.
But not wiser.
Everybody has affinity for cock.
This is the Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to the Lefty Show. I am your host, Lefty. Glad to be here with each and every one of you today, which is Monday, the 7th of July, in the year of our Spaghetti Monster 2014. Welcome one, welcome all to the Lefty Show, episode number 49. Again, hope to put on a great show for you today. Thank you to everybody for watching, liking, favoriting, and subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can find the show in its YouTube formation. And you can also find a bunch of gaming content and vloggity type stuff there. I got to get back in that game, speaking of which. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can go for that. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show, and thank you to everybody that will share the show with a friend, family, or coworker of your choice. And it's easier to do now because we've got an RSS feed. Just head on over to leftyshow.podbean.com. That's leftyshow.podbean.com, and you can manually subscribe. I've been flubbing that a lot lately. Been flubbing that line. Manly subscribe. It's a different kind of subscribe. Manly. You get chest hairs and all the things that go along with that when you're manly. I'm a man. I'm a manly subscribe. Manually subscribe to the RSS feed at leftyshow.podbean.com. You can also go to your favorite Android podcasting app of choice and search The Lefty Show. For me, it's what do I got on my shit here? What do I have? Yes, I am that vain that I am subscribed to myself. Podcast Addict is one, and I had another, but I know for sure we're on Podcast Addict. And you can subscribe there. Just search The Lefty Show. You'll find us. We're also on iTunes, baby. Go to the iTunes store, search The Lefty Show, subscribe there for all the latest and greatest from The Lefty Show. Find it there. You actually probably get The Lefty Show on the RSS feed faster than you do on YouTube. It's pretty quick. It updates, I believe, within 15 minutes. So if you're subscribed on Android or on your iOS via The Lefty Show on iTunes, you'll get the show pretty quickly. So thank you to all for doing that. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. I'mRacing.com/643 Productions, where you go to do that. You guys are amazing, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for doing that. Maybe a little bit of a different sound today. I'm trying something different. I've been working on my craft, as is my wont most of the time. I've got an Electro Voice RE320, and I'm running it naked, as they say. I don't know if they actually say that. I just want to say I'm running my microphone naked. Well, I want to say it. I don't know. I'm nothing if not weird. But I took off the windscreen because, frankly, I need to either wash it. I need to find a way to wash it or get a new one because it's gross. My microphone technique is more getting up close to the microphone, close and personal, and yeah. I don't know if I put this in the dishwasher, if I wash it in the sink, but even if I wash it in the sink, then I'm going to be worried about, putting it on my very expensive microphone. So I'm going to have to research ways to wash foam windscreens. Damn, there's a lot of crap on here. A lot of hate and vitriol. That's what it is. You guys think it's crap on my mouth. No, this is the hate and vitriol that the windscreen absorbs. You think the show is hateful and spiteful and rant-filled now. This pop filter, or this windscreen, excuse me, as you're hearing now, there's not as much of a pop filter. This windscreen absorbs a lot of it. And it keeps it from it keeps the show from getting overwrought, as we'll say, with a bunch of crap. And I don't know, maybe where do I take something to wash the hate and vitriol off of it, like church or something? Maybe, I don't know. So we're going with a different sound. Maybe I sound different. Maybe I sound a little bit better. Maybe I sound a little bit different. I will pop the P's a little bit more. The plosives will be a little bit more in your face or in your ear. And of course, I can play with stuff like that. I've been researching a lot. Actually, in researching the Opie and Anthony saga, the saga of Anthony Cumia, and to a larger extent, the Opie and Anthony show on Sirius XM, I've been looking a lot because I want to know which one is which, because I only know them as voices. I know their voices. I know Anthony's voice, and I know Opie's voice. but I don't know their faces that well. I guess that makes me a bad listener. Not that I'm a regular listener. Anyway, I really love their stuff with Penn Jillette whenever he's on their show. But I've never seen their faces, and for two guys that have been making their bones in radio, the notion of a face for radio, that's not true. Two good-looking gentlemen here, Anthony Cumia and Greg something or other, Greg Opie, whatever his last name is. Dude, good-looking, well, not necessarily good-looking, but average-looking humans. They don't look like troglodytes. They're not people. They are not oddities. They would not be part of that wrestling stable in the 90s. I believe it was the Oddities, that just ill-fated. Why in the hell was Insane Clown Posse? Vince McMahon, why did you include Insane Clown Posse in the Oddities? Why were the Oddities at all involved in wrestling in the 90s? But they're not. I mean, they're just, all right. They look like regular guys. Not models, certainly, but not somebody you'd be like, oh, wow, that is a face. That is a face for radio. I actually went to, I listened to a lot too in Chicago. There's just a sports radio station, 670 The Score. I'm a pretty big American sports fan, that is. And as a result, I like to listen to sports radio. And a lot of people may ask why I don't talk sports here. Trust me, I don't think it would go well. I don't think mixing sports and the YouTube audience would go very well. And I've tried to do it before, and it didn't really work out. So I don't know. There's a different sports arena for Lefty I need to break into. That's what I can do. I can make it a Patreon thing. I'll get a sports podcast going, because that's exactly what I need, is to be part of 4 podcasts, and some of which will be daily. I went to a roast for one of the hosts on 670 The Score. If you're from Chicago or you're a Chicago transplant, you probably know him, Boers and Bernstein. And it was remarkable because when I showed up to this roast, it wasn't black tie, but I wore a suit, and many people were wearing suits. And I realized, holy crap, pretty much everybody here, every on-air personality that I see fits the face for radio bill. It's like, holy crap, there's the drunk uncle. The perpetually red-faced drunk uncle. And oh my God, that guy's morbidly obese. I didn't know he was morbidly obese. Holy shit. But researching on Anthony Cumia and Opie, I was like, oh, it's just kind of regular guys. All right, I wasn't really expecting that. And I know some people, even for me, some people don't expect my face when they hear my voice. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to respond to that. I get that a lot where people say, wow, I've heard your voice on something like the Lefty Show, and then I see you on That's Not Why You Called or Painkiller Already, and I don't match up. Your voice doesn't seem like it would come from your face, and I don't know whether to be upset at that. Like, whoa, bro, whoa. Chill the fuck out. Like, them's fighting words if you continue down that path. Or to say, like, are you trying to say that you were expecting me to be ugly? I'm not ugly. Like, Adam Carolla's got a fantastic radio voice, at least for me. Some people may find it a little bit whiny, and I get that. I like it. He looks like a regular guy. He's not. I mean, he did a lot of work on television in The Man Show and Loveline, and now he's gotten to Catch a Contractor. He looks like a regular guy. He breaks that face for radio mold. Howard Stern, I don't know. I guess since he cut the hair, yes, but the big poofy Jew-fro of Howard Stern was never really getting it done for me. That was comical at best. But hey, you know what? The guy's a millionaire, so who gives a shit what I have to say about him? So anyway, I was researching all the way back to the original point, researching Opie and Anthony. I'm like, okay, which one's Opie and which one's Anthony? And I saw that they do a lot of work, at least when electro voice microphones are involved in radio. A lot of the time, they don't have foam windscreens on. And foam windscreens are good for clearing ambient noise, and they do a little bit for plosives. But it's mostly for ambient noise, and I figure, well, maybe I'll get a deeper, richer sound if I deal with perhaps a little bit of echo and a little bit extra popping, but I go without the windscreen. And that's what I'm trying here today. And on Opie and Anthony, I talked about it last week in the show. Hope you all had a great 4th of July. Hope you have all your fingers and toes still intact. I was thinking about this, and I talked about it very briefly, and I came at it from one angle, but after sitting on it for a while. And have you ever had that where you sit on a topic or you sit on something in your head for a while and you just think about it and you mull it over and you turn it over? It's like kneading dough. You're just kneading your brain, in this metaphor, would be your hands, and the dough would be the topic. And you're just kneading it with all the information that comes in. You put a little extra flour in so that it doesn't get, so that it stays, it doesn't get all sticky. And you roll it. You knead the dough, and you're just constantly churning it and churning it and churning it. And then all of a sudden, you've got something different. You found a new way to come about the problem, a new way to discuss, a new way to think about the issue, whatever it is. And you say, wait a minute, I may have said this. And if you don't want to appear to be hypocritical, you immediately go to, okay, well, how can I make it seem as though that still holds true, but also this? Yes, that, but also this. And while I maintain that Anthony Cumia, I still think I'm getting that wrong. I got to be getting it wrong. While I believe that Anthony Cumia should have understood that going on that rant would be perceived as racist, and the imagery used and the words used would be perceived as racist, and probably were. And, there was intent there. Using the jungle imagery, saying savages. There was intent there. Intent to be racist, or intent to be shocking, or intent to be intent to make a larger point, to be hyperbolic, to show, hey, this is a real issue. There was intent there. And he should have known that people would immediately ascribe that intent to be racism. And he should have known that, and I guarantee you he does, but he did it anyway. And so while, yes, Anthony is responsible for what he said, and he knew he's a smart enough guy, and he's been around in the game and social media and a shock jock long enough on terrestrial radio, Sirius XM, and probably now a syndicated podcast, he should know that this is what happens, that this will happen. However, he's a shock jock. He is running one of the largest radio shows, comedy radio shows, longest running comedy radio shows, next to Howard Stern. It goes Howard Stern and then probably Opie and Anthony. I know Kevin and Bean did a lot of work out in L.A., but I think Opie and Anthony probably override that just a bit. And then somewhere is Kevin and Bean, Loveline, all that stuff. But Opie and Anthony are comedic shock jocks. They are, in a way, comedians. They're not stand-up comedians, probably. Well, maybe they are. Maybe they do have a little bit of stand-up material. But you don't have to be a stand-up comic to be a comedian. They are comedians. Their job is to be comedic on air and to make people laugh. And their chosen way, the way they've chosen to go on about that, and the way we have all accepted it, is by being verbose, by being abrasive, by being caustic, by being angry people, and saying things where you go, whoa, that was Howard Stern. Howard Stern made a fortune being a comedic guy who would just say outlandish things. And in a similar vein, Opie and Anthony are outlandish comedians on the radio or on Sirius or now on a podcast. And we all accept that. However, when those outlandish comedians say something that's too outlandish, well, now they get fired. And this is from SiriusXM, who said Anthony Cumia's comments are abhorrent and not in keeping with what we believe here at SiriusXM. This is from SiriusXM, who have porn channels, where they broadcast porn. People engaging in sex calls and all that stuff. And they say, well, that, but not this. And it gets to a larger point that we as a society, we go after comedians a lot for saying things that they go too far, right? They cross the line. You had the Aflac guy who was the Aflac duck that made who made the comments about Japan after the tsunami. And he was immediately fired from Aflac. Immediately fired him. Aflac. They got rid of him. And he said, well, wait a minute. I'm a comedian. That's what I do. Michael Richards, a comedian. Wasn't a very good stand-up comic, but he was still a comedian. And his rant was a tacit extension of his comedy. And Opie and Anthony Cumia's seemingly racist rant on Twitter is an extension of his comedic bit, his comedy bits. You've got comedy bits. I've got comedy bits for you right here. Hello, I'm one of them. I know you are, Eugene. Yeah, I'm one of the comedy bits. You should really get more, though. Yeah, I know. I got to come up with some different voices. I'll get on it. You want to smoke and talk later? No, I don't, Eugene. Only the sweet, sweet smell of burning flesh. But he was engaging in what we all accept him for. Stephen Colbert and the jokes that he made about in response to the Washington Redskins owner, Daniel Snyder, and refusing to change the Washington Redskins name. He is a comedian. Stephen Colbert, the character, is a comic character. That his whole existence, that whole show, that whole thing is a comedic bit. And we charge these people, comedians. Adam Carolla had some comedy stuff that he does. And even in his new book, President Me, which I'm just about to wrap up, exclusive toilet reading, he's got bits in there that people give him shit for. It's a comedy book. It's meant to be comedic. We accept all these people and say, we give them a task, and that task is entertain us. And their response is, they'll say, okay, and I'm going to go about doing it by holding up a mirror to society or being caustic or being outlandish, and you're going to find some of those things funny. When Howard Stern's describing somebody getting a blowjob or describing a woman's breasts on the air or giving a caller an orgasm via the radio, everybody accepts it as Howard Stern being outlandish. That's Howard Stern bringing me comedy by being outlandish. However, when that outlandish behavior, those outlandish words reach a certain level, we say, whoa. But that's their job. It's the job of comedians to do that. We hand them the task and they say, okay, I'm going to do it this way. And we say, okay, but this. And I think that's at the very least questionable, because it's like this. It's like if you're having sex with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and you want to talk dirty, and you talk dirty, and then you say, hey, let's talk dirty. Okay, yeah. And then you say something, and then they say something, and then you say, whoa. You immediately strip away the context under which the words were uttered, and you say, you said that? Well, hold on a sec. No, we were in the moment. We were discussing this, and you wanted it, and it was in the moment. And so, yeah, when I said that I want to do these crazy things to your vagina, well, no, I don't really want to do it. But why are you trying to strip away the context and make me seem like a pervert instead of viewing it through he's saying a crazy sexual thing? You're acting as though I said it in the library. You're acting as though I said it in line at Starbucks. Hey, girl, I want to do this to your vagina. I want to take you home. Girl, oh, girl, I want to take you home, split your pussy on and all this stuff. No, I didn't say that. We were in the bedroom or on the coffee table, on the Ottoman Empire. And there was context there. It was in the context of sex. And likewise, when these comedians say these outlandish things, it is almost always in the context of their comedic bit. What Anthony Cumia did was in the context of being an outlandish shock jock. That's what he's known for. He is somebody that will get loud and say lots of things that challenge you or challenge social norms, and he will say things you don't believe in, but he'll either make them funny or otherwise make them entertaining. And we accept him in that context, and we accept the outlandish things that they say. We accept the outlandish things that Opie and Anthony say on the air. But after an arbitrary line is crossed, we immediately strip away that context of being a comedian. That immediately goes away, and that there is no favor garnered in that regard. We say, whoa, you're just being racist. You say, and if I'm Anthony Cumia or his PR, I say, well, hold on, this is what he does. You can't give him the task of being this loud and obnoxious and outlandish entertainer, and then when he's loud, obnoxious, and outlandish, you get pissed at him. You can't do it. It's either you have it or you don't. If you're going to give comedians, stand-up or just general comedy entertainers or otherwise, if you're going to give them the job of being entertaining and you're going to accept them as being outlandish, you have to accept it all or you have to accept nothing, because who gets to draw the line? You say, entertain me, but only this far. No, that's their job. Because if they were to try to toe a line that they don't know where it is and they don't know how deep it runs, well, then you're going to say, well, you're not entertaining me enough. Your entertainment is bad. You're not making me laugh. You're not funny anymore. You're not being as outlandish as I want you to be. And the guy will say, of course, because I don't know where this line goes. And if I go too far, you're going to strip away all context and roast me publicly for doing exactly what it is you, society, wanted me to do. And we've done that, or at least that has been done before our eyes right now with Anthony Cumia and Opie and Anthony, and plenty of times in the past. And are we that politically correct as a society that even the people whom we hire, figuratively here, even the people whom we hire to break down those politically correct walls, which is what comedy is, even the people we hire to break down the PC walls, we say, well, hold on now. You can break down this wall, sure, but there's another wall out there that you just can't touch. That you can't, and then you can't go farther than that. Otherwise, we're going to come after you, come after your livelihood. We are going to remove anything you say from the context of your job as an entertainer, a comedic entertainer, and just treat you as though you're some guy on the street corner spouting racist bullshit. And we're that politically correct as a society that we can't even fathom that the people whom we hire to do that might say things we don't like. And we might just have to accept it. If you're going to give Opie and Anthony, or you're going to give Anthony Cumia the 50,000 watt blowtorch, or the satellite blowtorch, whatever that thing's outputting, of XM, and say, entertain me. Be you, be crazy, be outlandish, and entertain me and entertain these people. You can't go around and say, whoa, you were outlandish, and you, goodbye, get rid of your show. We ask people to do things, but then when they do them, we say, well, I don't know if I really wanted that. I just, I wanted to go have a few drinks and laugh. I didn't know it was going to get heavy, man. Well, what the fuck? What do you think's going to happen? And at a certain level, it applies in other places too. we give TSA, or we gave the job of protecting us to the legislature, and we handed it all over. We all read this little document that we have, and we know we have all these rights, but after 9/11, we said, here you go. Here it is. Go ahead and do it. Have all the fun you want. Have all the fun you want. Protect us. And then they do it. And there you go. You wanted it, and now you're questioning. Now you're saying, holy shit, why is the NSA all up my ass all over the place? Why are stingrays being used by the TSA? Why are all these things happening? Why are people feeling on my balls? Because, well, you said you wanted this. This is what happens. Now my argument there is that, well, it's a much larger scale than Opie and Anthony being funny. I had no part in wanting this. I had no part in, nobody contacted me and asked if it was okay if I give up my rights to this. And also, we're talking about fundamental rights in this sense, and not comedy, and not a radio bit or a radio persona. There's distinct differences there, but the application or the spirit is you hand them the keys, but then get pissed off that they drive. Or you hand them the keys to the car, and then you get pissed off that they go too far, that they go too fast. But that wasn't a condition. Handing the person the keys was not a condition. There was no condition of, well, you can only go this far and you can only go that fast. You just hand them the keys and say, entertain me, clown. And then the clown's packed 45 of them in there and going 150 miles an hour. And you say, wait a minute, what the fuck? And they say, well, you handed me the keys and said, entertain me. And that's what I did. There were no lines drawn. There were no lines drawn that said Anthony Cumia can't go on a somewhat subtly racist rant. Well, that could very easily be construed as a pretty racist rant. There are no lines there. He's a comedic. He's a comedy guy. He's supposed to entertain you. But the minute he goes what you arbitrarily and capriciously deem to be too far, then it matters not that he was hired originally, even in the first place, to be that, to be outlandish. You just say, no, fuck it, fuck you and anybody that looks like you. And you're done. And I can't believe you said that. And what you said was abhorrent. His whole bit is being abhorrent. That's his job. But we all circle jerk ourselves into being really upset about things and completely allow others to take the reins. It happened with the Stephen Colbert thing and the, I believe it was the Chinese, the Ching Chong Ding Dong. I think, oh, geez, what is it? It was an organization for some kind of something. And we allowed that to happen. Stephen Colbert does that shit all the time. But just now, because some woman was able to garner up some favor on ultra-liberal narcissists on Twitter, now all of a sudden it's a problem that he's engaging in hyperbole and satire. You ask for something, you get it, and then you say, what is this? I didn't order this. I didn't want this. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Again, what do I say all the time? I say accountability. People be accountable. Be accountable for what you want. You wanted the likes of Opie and Anthony and Howard Stern and Stephen Colbert and the Affleck guy and Adam Carolla. You want them to be the comedians, and then they're going to be comedians, and they're going to go places. And you can't draw the line and try to rein them in, because then they're not comedians anymore. Then they're just jesters. They're just court jesters that entertain me until you offend me and then I kill you. Figuratively, of course. Although, maybe one day it'll be literal. Manufactured outrage is a hell of a fucking thing. And best of luck to Anthony Cumia moving forward in his, hopefully, podcast ventures. And maybe Opie will join you. And as always, we are campaigning dutifully for that open spot on Sirius XM. Let's get... Hello, this is the Lefty Show on Sirius XM. Welcome to the Lefty Show. Got a lot to talk about today. Going to have President Barack Obama on. We're going to talk about his new fiscal policy for the coming year. We're also going to talk to Secretary of State and ask what's going on overseas. And national or foreign policy of America. Got a lot to talk about. It's 25 past the hour. News and weather together on Sirius XM. This is the Lefty Show. We could totally do that. I have the sound, I have the voice, and I can go, attention passengers. If you look over the left side of the aircraft, there's a guy tearing out the engine. Oh my God, we're all fucking dead. I want to know if there's ever been that in a plane that's going down. If there's ever been a pilot as the plane went down, like, hey, everybody, we're fucked. Peace out. Or are they really just trained to say, like, oh, we're experiencing some, you're in a 40-degree nosedive, and you're saying, oh, we're experiencing some minor turbulence. We will try to climb our way out of this death spiral as quickly as possible. Let's see if we can, hopefully we can make it. It's been an honor serving you all. All right, let's do some news. It's the news with Lefty. We got a lot to talk about today. The people have started to be sentenced in the beating of Steve Utash. ISIS is about to destroy biblical history in Iraq, and electronics to be scrutinized under new TSA security measures overseas. A federal judge tells the Supreme Court to STFU the woman who stopped for ducks in Canada faces life in prison after being convicted, and we're going to finally on the Lefty Show talk about the World Cup. We got a lot to talk about. It's the news with Lefty. Let's talk about all the things. This is an article from Forbes.com having to do with the World Cup. The title is Brazil has faked the most injuries at the 2014 World Cup. Taking a dive or faking an injury isn't something unique to soccer. There are phantom high sticks and elbows in hockey and basketball. NFL players who fake cramps. And just this week, Matt Carpenter got away with pretending he was hit by a pitch. But soccer is the sport most notorious for players writhing in pain, and this year's World Cup has done little to erase that reputation. According to one report, no team at the tournament has faked more such injuries than the home nation, Brazil. The Wall Street Journal followed the tournament's first 32 games and recorded and timed every instance of a player appearing to be injured before subsequently returning to the game. The study omitted the 9 players who left the game after being injured. The count may include some players who were legitimately hurt but still capable of returning to action, but with 293 instances to work with, that gray area is likely quite small. Not to mention that the Wall Street Journal report found injuries suffered by winning teams. In other words, those with the incentive to drain the clock resulted in 4 times as much wasted time. Through their first 2 games, Brazilian players have gone down 17 times before returning to play. That Brazil leads the list shouldn't be much of a surprise for anyone watching the World Cup. The team's players could hardly keep their feet in the tournament's opening game against Croatia, a match in which Brazil took a late lead thanks to a controversial dive by Fred. Fred who? I don't know, but Fred. The subsequent penalty kick was put in by phenom striker Neymar, who has long drawn plenty of ire for his acting abilities. While Brazil has flopped the most, its players are quite resilient, spending just 3 minutes and 18 seconds rolling and writhing, which ranks right around the middle of the pack. Honduras, at a lengthy 7 minutes and 40 seconds, has spent the most time appearing injured. Close behind Honduras is France, which spent 7 minutes and 19 seconds on the ground, and with 5 fewer instances. Players from Bosnia and Herzegovina, players from Bosnia, we're just going to call it Bosnia. Players from Bosnia have been the strongest on their feet, appearing to be injured only twice for a total of 24 seconds through their first 4 games. North American teams have been exceeding expectations at the World Cup, but the 4 CONCACAF, really? That is a fucked up. CONCACAF acronym. Teams have also appeared injury-prone, all sitting among the tournament's 7 floppiest teams. Mexico and Costa Rica are ahead of the United States in terms of the number of injuries suffered, 15 and 13 respectively to 12, but they have spent much less time acting. In fact, the Yanks' total injury time of 6 minutes and 24 seconds ranks 5th most among World Cup teams. And being caught up in World War fever, being caught up in World Cup fever for at least for Americans, is really just to pretend to care about soccer. And when the United States was in it, and I was watching the games at, if they were on at a bar or something, and I would remark casually on Twitter, I said, "Holy shit, there's a lot of people." You get slide tackle and you're on the ground for 45 seconds, or you're on the ground for a minute and a half, and it's just what the fuck is this? What is? Sure, yeah, there's phantom high sticks and phantom elbows in other sports. NFL players don't fake cramps on the ground for a minute and a half. And if they do, they actually get carried off and can't play that next play. They're off. They got to get off the field. But in soccer, it's just, oh, well, I'm on the ground. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, woe is me. Praise be to Dale. In soccer, it's just 7 minutes. 7 minutes on the ground. And speaking of which, France, number 2, America, number 5, in terms of faking writhing in pain on the ground. It figures that the countries with probably out of all the teams there, the least to worry about, America and France and all the, quote, first world nations, they're probably closer to the top as far as total time spent on the ground flopping about trying to make people believe that they're really fucked up. But Bosnia, does anybody know where Bosnia is? You know how fucked up that entire section of the world is? It's not as bad as the Middle East, but you're not, there's no such thing as amateur in Bosnia. You're working in coal mines or whatever it is their output is, and you get to play soccer as a luxury. Bosnia is not an envious place to live. Maybe Herzegovina is, but Bosnia is not. Part of that southeastern Europe, what once was part of the Soviet bloc, not a nice place. And those people who live those lives, who come from that place, did not spend time fucking about on the ground. Did not spend time writhing in pain like, oh my goodness, please give the other bad man a yellow card. Oh my goodness, the yellow card. They didn't say that. They were just, oh shit, oh that hurt. Okay, well, we only fell twice and let's play some soccer here. Let's play soccer. But you get teams like France and America and Honduras, and they're just, oh my goodness, I'm on the ground. Oh my goodness, oh God, my back. Oh no, my knee. Oh, my arm, I think it's broken. Ouch, my arm. And I'm glad that this has finally been tracked, that people have been tracking this, because I cannot have been the only American pretending to care about soccer to notice, holy mother of God, there's a lot of time spent faffing about as far as injuries go. There's a lot of people that just, well, that's very clearly fake, and you're very clearly acting and holding up the game, and what the fuck are you doing? Why is play stopped? Let's get going here. Well, the play is stopped, but the clock is running, and what? And I'm glad America's out of it, because now we can all go back, in America at least, to actually not caring about soccer. Now we can go back and say, oh, okay. Oh, is that over? Oh, is it over? Oh my goodness. It's like a bad night out. It's like, is that finally over? Oh my God. Oh God. Or a bad business relationship, right? You're in business with people you don't really like or respect, and it's finally the contract's up or something. You get out of it. You're like, oh my God. Oh, that was awful. What? That was awful. We made it through. We kept appearances up for long enough, and we're all okay. Oh, my goodness. Oh, sweet Jesus. Americans, don't let social media force you into feeling you have to care about soccer. It's completely okay to not like soccer. It's completely okay to not like something. It's okay. You don't have to wrap yourself in the American flag and put on the face paint and go wear the crazy thing and travel to Brazil and get drunk on... You travel to Brazil to get drunk on Budweiser. Couldn't you just do that at home? Why do you have to go to Rio de Janeiro? Well, tranny hookers won. But, okay, outside of the tranny hookers, why would you have to go to South America to pretend to care about soccer. Don't let people oh my God, this is the world sport, the sport of the world. The sport of the world involves teams collectively spending 8 minutes, close to 8 minutes on the ground faking an injury, okay? That's the sport of the world. You don't have to care about it. And equally, it's just as fine if people like it, and don't be a jagbag to those people. But don't let other people pressure you into caring about a sport that you might find is bullshit. It's okay. I will tell you, I will shield you as best I can from the hate from those incessant morons who are like, oh, it's the sport of the world, yeah? Oh, it's just, no, I don't care. It's a sport of the world. It's boring and it's fucking lame that I watch millionaires faking injuries on the ground so that they can get a yellow card or a red card. I didn't accept it from Anderson Varejao when he was bouncing around the NBA, and I'm not going to accept it from some guy that runs around a pitch for 90 minutes, touches the ball once or twice. I'm not. It's just, I'm not going to accept it. It's boring, and that part of it is extremely lame. Extremely lame. Shit, the commercial breaks in the NFL, the amount of commercial breaks and stoppage time and all the graphics they have and all the stats and all the stuff and the animations and the replays, the stoppage time, the time in between plays in the NFL is more exciting than guys faking injuries on the ground. Way more exciting. Because I don't care that some guy, some shitty actor that he pretends like, oh my God, my shin is broken, it hurts so bad. Oh, how long have I burned? 45 seconds? Okay, oh man, oh God, I feel good. I'm good, Doc, I'm good, thank you. We can continue play. Let me hobble over to my place, actually get a few more seconds out of this until we can finally, okay. Oh, the clock's still going? Oh yeah, hold on. Oh no, the pain's back just a little bit. Oh no, it's good. Okay. Americans, don't let other people force you into liking that. Just because they like it, which is fine, doesn't mean you have to like it and doesn't mean you can't find it lame. And that's okay. It's okay to not like things. It's okay to not want things. I don't want things all the time, and apparently that makes me an asshole. I don't want Amber Alerts, and that makes me an asshole to people. It's the same logic. You mean you don't like this? You mean you don't want it? No, I don't want to watch soccer. I don't want to watch it. I find it boring and lame. No, I don't want the Amber Alerts. I find them intrusive, and I think it's morally corrupt to opt me into something that wasn't even party to the contract that we signed. No, I think it's morally wrong. Both times people will say, wow, well, you're just an asshole. How dare you? How dare you not like soccer? It's the sport of the world. How dare you not want Amber Alerts because it saves children's lives? No, it's okay to not want things. Don't let society, specifically with respect to soccer, but to a larger extent society, why are we communicating to people that we all have to be accepting of this? It's okay. Here's the thing, and I'll say this. It's not okay to discriminate against homosexuals. And when you talk about when the discrimination comes at the government level in terms of issuing marriage licenses or certificates of marriage, that's discrimination, and it's wrong to discriminate against homosexuals. It's wrong. Can't do it. You cannot use your place in government or in private business to discriminate against homosexuals. We as a society have said, no, that's bad. It is acceptable and permissible. I should say that. It is permissible to not like homosexuals. That's okay. That's okay. Not good for the not good for the evolution of SS humanity, of SS human experience. That's a bad tugboat. The one that inherently on the inside does not agree with homosexuality, does not like it, finds it offensive, finds it repulsive. That's a tugboat that's probably not doing a lot of work towards some ultimate greater good, but it's still okay. Because as long as it's on the inside, it's okay. We've gone too far in persecuting people who actually discriminate. We've swung the pendulum way too far, and now we've said it's not okay to even think these things. We thought police ourselves, and that thought policing goes so far as to, how dare you not want Amber? I don't fucking like them. I don't want it. Why does that make me an asshole? I don't like soccer. I don't want to watch soccer, and I'm sick of people forcing soccer down my throat when I'm watching SportsCenter. Why is that a bad thing? Why do I have to accept soccer? Similarly, why do yokel crackers in the asshole of America and the Bible Belt, why do they have to be accepting of homosexuals? They don't want to be accepting of homosexuals. It's perfectly permissible for them to find it repulsive. The only line that gets crossed and the only line that can't get crossed is when that inner repulsion turns to outward discrimination. That's wrong. Once you do that, once you cross that threshold, I got no love for you. I will not defend you. I will not support you. But inwardly, in your inner thoughts, that's none of my business. And it's none of my business to say you should think this or should not think that. And what you think here is wrong, or what you think here, well, that's good, and that's a good thought. Well, that's a bad thought, because I'm not the fucking thought police. At least outside of the show. On this show, I'm the thought police. Do as I say, not necessarily as I do. And the amount of thought policing that we do, it's just, why do people have to accept all these things? Why do we have to accept soccer? Stop it. Soccer doesn't work. We're whatever we are as Americans. Attention deficit with the 24/7 news cycle and all this stuff. We want bing, bang, boom. We like hockey better than soccer, primarily because it appears fast-paced. There's a lot of things going on. It's similarly with football. We like football because it appears fast-paced and violent. There's enough violence in football without people flopping around pretending to be injured. And similarly, there's a good bit of violence in soccer. And if they played that up, the actual amount of violence, the actual collisions and the actual tackles where people are getting cleated and that shit fucking hurts, you might have something there. But when you start with the flopping and the I'm good. I'm good. I want to like soccer. I think it could be a cool game to watch. But they're not playing to their strengths, at least to the American crowd, and I don't feel bad about not liking it. And I don't think any other American, any other person really, never mind American, shouldn't feel bad about not liking it. There's probably people, oh, it's the sport of the world. Oh, it's the sport of the world, so everybody likes it universally. And why the fuck do people play rugby? We don't play it here. Why are people playing rugby and not soccer? It's okay to not like things, because if we accept that we just have to like soccer, and it's abhorrent and it's an outlier, you're an outlier if you're not liking soccer, what does that say about why can't I like anything anymore? Why can't I dislike anything? Shit, people dislike this show. People say, I don't want to hear you talk for an hour about things that piss you off or things in the world. I want to see you play games, or I want to see you stream and do that. Okay, that's fine. I mean, if you want the show and then you criticize me for stupid things, I'll be like, well, that's stupid. But to just say, yeah, I don't like it, it's just not for me. Okay, fine, sure, I get it. This is not everybody's bag. I'm okay with that. I wish they'd give it a chance, because I think I put on an interesting show. I was going to say funny show, but then I thought better of it. I would like them to give it a chance, but that's all I can ask for. And even then, that's a stretch to ask for that. If they just say, no, it doesn't seem like my bag, what the fuck do I have to say? I got nothing to say. Absolutely nothing. And I would be wrong and a total asshole if I was to say, fuck you, you gotta listen to me. You gotta like this. You should like this stuff. No, it's okay to not like it. It's totally okay. And if I have to be that pariah, if I have to say, dislike this show, if you don't like, just so that we can all accept, so that you can have an experience of not liking something and it being okay, then fine. Don't like the show. Totally fine. It's okay for you to not like the show. Just like it's okay for you to not like soccer. Just like it's okay for you, me, or anybody to not like and not want and bitch and cry about getting Amber Alerts and notifications that they did not want and did not bargain for. And it's okay for backwards ass archaic people to not like homosexuals. It's okay. When I start preventing Amber Alerts, when I start going in and trying to prevent Amber Alerts from getting out to well-meaning people who want them, when somebody else goes out and starts actively discriminating against homosexuals, then that's objectively wrong. But I reject the notion that anybody has any say about what goes on inside my head and what I like and dislike. I reject that notion completely. In other news, this is Dateline Detroit. This is from clickondetroit.com. An 18-year-old charged with being a part of a group who beat a driver after he accidentally hit a 10-year-old boy in Detroit with his pickup truck has been sentenced to probation and drug testing. Bruce Wimbush admitted to striking Steve Utash during the April 2nd attack. Police have said Utash, a 54-year-old tree trimmer from Clinton Township, was not at fault for the incident. The boy was not seriously hurt, but Utash spent days in a coma. Days in a coma! Wimbush said he was a younger brother, or he has a younger brother of his own, and got emotional when he saw what happened. Quote, I learned that to not let my emotions take control of me. I'm very sorry to the Utash family. I'm very sorry for my actions in this situation. I also want to say this will never happen again, Wimbush told the court. Judge James Callahan on Monday sentenced Wimbush to 3 years of probation and to submit for drug tests. Since Wimbush was 17 at the time of the crime, Callahan also sentenced him under the Holmes Youthful Trainee Act. That means if Wimbush completes his probation and passes his drug tests, his records will be wiped clean. Also on Monday, fellow defendant Wanzi Saffold was sentenced to 6 years and 4 months to 10 years in prison for the same crime. So here's what happened. Steve Utash, 54-year-old tree trimmer, was driving along one night in Detroit, and a boy jumped out in front of his car. He hit the boy, not seriously injured. The boy suffered injuries. The 10-year-old boy suffered injuries to his legs and was later treated and released. Utash stopped after hitting the kid, got out and saw to his injuries, or tried to see to his injuries, make sure he was okay. And a group of people descended upon Utash and beat the shit out of him until he was in a coma. He was in a coma for days, and had to be in the hospital recovering from his injuries for a while. And those people are on trial here. And here, this 18-year-old Bruce Wimbush threw the first punch, and essentially led the charge of people beating the shit out of this man in Detroit and putting him in a coma. And he gets 3 years of probation. 3 years of probation, and if he does not violate the probation and does not smoke pot, his entire record will be wiped clean of this event. That means it'll be everything but the arrest record. I don't even know if the arrest record is up for grabs under the Holmes Youthful Trainee Act. But everything but the arrest record probably will go away if he completes his probation and doesn't use any drugs, or at least doesn't get caught using any drugs. This all goes away. And the other guy got 6 years for putting a guy in a fucking coma. Utash is white. All the defendants are black. There's only one hate crime charge. Now, I'm against the notion of hate crimes. I'm completely against it. I think it's an awful, awful law, an awful precedence to set, and I think fundamentally it violates equal protection. I think it violates by way of disincentivizing, or disincentivizing, or not equally disincentivizing potential perpetrators of crimes. It violates my right to equal protection under the law, and I think they are fundamentally unconstitutional. But hate crimes are a thing, and in the state of Michigan, they are a thing. And there's only one guy charged with ethnic intimidation. Ethnic intimidation. Only one guy of the, I believe, 5 charged with a hate crime. All of them black. Utash was white. The kid he hit was black. Now, I don't know enough about the case, and I certainly don't, I won't profess to know enough about what actually transpired to say that there should be more hate crimes charged, or that there should be more people with harsher punishments. All I would say, that if this were to happen in, say, California, and it was a group of white guys and a black driver, if the roles were completely reversed, because it works that way. If the race of the initial kid that was hit and the race of the people that joined in on the beating and were swapped with that of the driver, so they would all be white and the driver would be black, how would that look? What would people be calling for? Would we have Would Jesse Jackson, would we resurrect that corpse? Would Al Sharpton find a way to climb atop his bully pulpit and clamor against this is the evil of racism? This is so very clearly a hate crime, racist act. You would be hearing a lot about that, wouldn't you? And once this trial hit the public, was exposed to the public, you could be people clamoring for life sentences for these guys. They put a well-meaning black guy who just, the kid jumped out and there's nothing he could do. And he hit him and he was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to help you. Because I'm a fucking good human. I'm going to stop and I'm going to help you. And I'm going to see that you're all right. And people descend upon me, a bunch of white guys descend upon me and beat the shit out of me and put me in a fucking coma. Would there be any plea deals? Would there be a 3-year probation plea deal? The guy was facing attempted murder charges. Attempted murder. And it was pled down to assault. What the would that happen? Would the public allow that to happen if the roles were reversed? No. No, it wouldn't. The public would not at all allow that to happen if it was 5 white guys that put a well-meaning, just a black guy, a victim of circumstance, in a fucking coma. They would all be on trial for attempted murder with the hate crime multiplier. All of them. And they'd all be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. No plea deals, none of that bullshit. And certainly, the guy that threw the first fucking punch wouldn't get 3 years probation. But it's a white guy who got the shit kicked out of him and put into a coma. You know who's been in a coma? Me. You know what's not fun? Being in a fucking coma. This guy was probably in a medically induced coma for a couple of days. I was in a medically induced coma for a couple of days. That is the most traumatic experience of my life. Not because of the injury sustained, but just the fact that my consciousness was off for a period of some days. Off. And I have no recollection of what happened. And we barely even understand what consciousness is. Do we even think to know? Do we even profess to know what happens when consciousness gets turned off for a little bit and then turned back on? What that does? Never mind to our conscious mind, but our subconscious mind and our perception of ourselves and all the things that go with that, on top of the brutal injuries. Instead of attempted murder, it gets pled down to assault, simple assault, 3 years probation. And if you're a good boy, it all goes away. Would that happen if they were white? I don't think so. And I would hope not. And you know what? I would, in a decent society, if we really think, oh, well, that was only worth 3 years of probation, doing that to that guy was worth only 3 years of probation, well, then the white guys had better receive 3 years of probation too. And the first guy that threw the first punch and then 6 years of da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The only way that we move forward as a society is where race doesn't even come into question, where it doesn't matter. But here we are. White guy gets beat, and there's no doubt in anybody's mind, and there should be no doubt, that were the roles reversed racially, the guy would be fucked. All of them. All of them would be fucked, especially when exposed to the public. And the public would say, life sentences for all of them. Because, oh my God, this is so very clearly a hate crime. But was a hate crime committed on Steve Utash? Not if you read what everybody's talking about. Not if you listen to not if you read the reports, not if you read the write-ups, not if you read the articles. People aren't clamoring for hate crime accelerants. People aren't clamoring for the district attorney's head for daring to even plea down such an open and shut case. No. They just say, oh, okay, well, yes, these guys, this is the da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's how we are so fucked because our efforts to curb racism, while perhaps noble in original intent, have turned into fuck white people. Fuck them. If you're a white guy, you could very easily be fucked, and there's little to no protection on the other side, on the flip side. And that's how far we've let it go. That's how far out of control this whole thing is. I'm all for educating our society and the idea of we're all different, or excuse me, we're all the same. We're different. I mean, we have different consciousnesses and we're physiologically different in many ways, but there's no reason to discriminate against people because of that, because of what they like, because of what they don't like, because of who they are, because of the color of their skin, the color of their eyes, the shape of their brow, anything like that. No fucking reason, and it's stupid and backwards to do it. Educate society on that from the very beginning. There was a marketing campaign which was really, really well done by Burger King. What they did was they had an entire, I don't know if it was one store or a few, but they had a complete marketing workup done for, we'll for now say it's one store, and they called it the Pride Burger, as if I remember correctly, and it was, of course, the gay, reminiscent of the gay pride flag with all the different color bars. You know, red, green, yellow, blue, purple, brown in there. I don't know. If for gays, it might. That is a Santorum joke. They had it all done, and they wrapped up the burgers in this paper that was just like the gay pride flag. I don't know if there's a proper term for it. I don't mean to just say gay pride. I'm completely unaware of a proper term for it. And they sold it as a completely different product. And they asked people what they thought. So it was Burger King. So it was a Whopper. It was the same thing as a Whopper, but they called it a Pride Burger. Same exact ingredients, nothing at all changed. And they handed it to people. And they did the man on the street kind of stuff. What do you think? What do you think? Tell us what you think. And they had cameras recorded, and people said, "Oh, well, it's different. It's different. It's got all this stuff and blah blah blah." On the inside of the wrapping of the burger, it said, "We are all the same," and it let them in on the bit. You just ate a Whopper, but you need to know that we're all the same. That's genius. First of all, it's genius for Burger King because, you know, everybody, including me, talking about its larger reaching effects gets to talk about Burger King, and they get great advertising time for essentially nothing. They don't have to pay for it. But that kind of education is fantastic. Please do that. Start them from an early age. Not tolerance, not acceptance. Just we're just the same. Our differences are marginal at best. We're pretty much the same, and we're all in this together. We're all SS Human Experience. I give SS Human Experience, unless I get an artist to draw something up and put it on T-shirts, I give the idea, the concept of SS Human Experience to the public forum. Please use that. We are all SS Human Experience, and we're just a little tugboat on the sides nudging SS Human Experience, and we're all the same tugboat, pretty much. The difference is, you know, there may be a different powertrain or power plant on the tugboats, but those are marginal differences. We're all in this together. We're all essentially the same, and those are great things. But similarly, we don't have that. As of right now, we don't have that. We've got it different. We've got the complete opposite. We're different. We've got, you happen to be white, so you are not as equally protected by one, actual codified laws and codified hate crime laws, but also the court of public opinion, because if you're white, well, fuck it. It's like original sin. You just signed up for it. You've got to accept it. You've got to accept the fact that if you're white and 5 black guys beat the ever-loving shit out of you and put you in a fucking coma, there's going to be but one hate crime multiplier applied, and it's ethnic intimidation. Yeah, and if you're a white guy, you just got to accept that. But similarly, if you're a white guy and you get together with 5 guys who happen to be white and you beat the fucking shit out of a black guy for bullshit reasons and you put him in a fucking coma, you're probably all going to jail for a really, 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 really long time. And you just got to accept that, because that's how we fight racism. Does that make sense? Is anybody yet going to say, holy shit, this fighting racism thing looks and smells a lot like bullshit? It really looks and smells a lot like bullshit. One last story. A federal judge tells the Supreme Court to STFU. This is Judge Richard Kopf. Richard Kopf, a senior United States district judge in Nebraska, thinks the Supreme Court needs to learn when to staffu. Kopf made the recommendation in a post on his personal blog July 5th, where he argued the recent Hobby Lobby ruling demonstrated the High Court's need to stay away from hot-button cases. Quote, next term is the time for the Supreme Court to, quiescent. Excuse me. This term and several past terms has proven that the court is now causing more harm, division to our democracy than good by deciding hot-button cases that the court has the power to avoid. As the kid says, it is time for the court to staffu, Kopf wrote in a post flagged Monday morning by Think Progress. For effect, Kopf included a link to the Urban Dictionary page for STFU. Quote, acronym used for the phrase, shut the fuck up, for efficiency reasons, the definition reads. Kopf declined to comment to Business Insider. Kopf's personal blog caused another controversy in May when he wrote a post suggesting some female lawyers should tone it down and dress more conservatively. Look, Judge Richard Kopf, I appreciate your attempt to incorporate hip wording in your personal blog, but you're a federal judge. Can you speak like one, please? Can you act like a federal judge? You're a federal judge. Don't say shut the fuck up. Don't say staffu. You can swear. We all swear, but you're a federal judge. You're supposed to be a learned person of law, and you are literally, very literally, a decider of fates. Please don't start saying shut the fuck up. Please don't start saying staffu. Act like you have an air of academia about you. Please. Just leave the inefficient language, leave the caustic language, leave all that shit to people like me. You are an actual judge. Go around and act like it. Aspire to be what the office is, not bring the office down to what you think it should be. And it's the same thing. No nose studs, mohawks, buzz cuts. You're a federal judge. Just like the Supreme Court, you don't see them with, saying staffu or I don't know, LMAO, because they're Supreme Court justices. You are of that ilk. Act like it. You're above those kinds of things, and you're supposed to be above those kinds of things. No, you're referred to as Justice this or Your Honor that, not first name basis. There's a place for formality. Being a judge is probably one of them. And yeah, it's your personal blog. Nothing you really do is personal anymore as a federal judge. Especially when you're writing about judge things. Things having to do with judges on your personal blog is no longer a personal blog. It's the blog of federal judge Richard Kopf. Let's not allow people to go on acting, bringing down statures and offices and positions to their level. I don't want I don't want the lady at the clerk's office having a mohawk and gauge earrings. I don't want that. You know who should have that? The guys at the tattoo and piercing parlor. Those guys, those people should have the gauge and all the tattoos. They should all be tatted up with nose studs and whatnot. Not first grade teachers or second grade teachers or judges or anything like that. Get that shit out of there. You're a judge now, not some hipster doofus. All right, let's bring it home. Another great edition of The Lefty Show. I thank you all for joining. I hope you had a great time listening. I had a great time putting on the show for you. Thank you to everybody for watching on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can go to find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody for sharing the show, and thank you to everybody that will share the show with a friend or family or coworker of your choice, which is easier to do now because we've got an RSS feed. Head on over to leftyshow.podbean.com. That's leftyshow.podbean.com, or you can search The Lefty Show on your podcasting Android app of choice, or go to the iTunes store. We're on iTunes. Go to the iTunes store, search The Lefty Show, and be sure to download all the latest and greatest Lefty Show episodes. That's The Lefty Show on iTunes, The Lefty Show on Android podcasting apps, and leftyshow.podbean.com. Thank you to everybody for donating. I'mRacing.com/643 Productions. Follow me on Twitter at Lefty643. Stay up to date on all the latest and greatest Lefty Show news. That's it. That's my time. I got to get out of here. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you next time. I'm out. Bye.
I can't see you though, bitch.